Hello and welcome to Retro Gaming Swede. My name is Oscar and today I'll show you my latest gaming related pickups. But before we start, please consider to leave a like and subscribe and don't forget to hit that bell too when you're at it. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff to get through today, so let's get going. I think I'll start with the newest stuff and move on to the older stuff later, and last but not least, I'll open a couple of old sealed things. That's exciting, right? What it is, you'll see if you stay to the end. The first thing I have to show you is Star Wars Squadrons. Yeah, I know this is really modern, but I really like PlayStation VR. And especially flying spaceships in VR is kind of fun. So, I don't know much about the game and I haven't played it yet, so I think that will be pretty fun to check out. Next up, we have another modern thing, Starlink Battle for Atlas. I haven't really tried this out either. I haven't even booted it up actually. But it's of course the Switch version with Fox McCloud, and even if it was cheap, and even if this isn't an amazing game, it's still a nice box to keep on the shelf. Next up, we have Cartoon Network Racing. Yeah, this is sort of a Mario Kart ripoff, but with Cartoon Network characters instead. It's not an awful game, but yeah, it's not a Mario Kart game either. So, but it's kind of fun to play around with the different characters from the game, and generally, yeah, it's sort of a 6 or 5 on the, if I were to review it. It's not amazing, but it's not bad either. The next one up is Urban Chaos. This isn't a specifically awesome game either, but it was dirt cheap. And yeah, you play as sort of a really kitted out riot police trying to take down different bad guys. Pretty fun, but not amazing. Next up, we have a real classic, Super Metroid. This is one of those games I think everyone should play at least once in their lifetime. It's absolutely amazing. And yeah, it sort of paved the way for an whole genre. And yeah, if you're gonna have just one game for the Super Nintendo, I think Super Metroid is the one. It's super playable still today, and well, it's just amazing. So next up, we move on to the Mega Drive. And first off, we have Micro Machines 2 Turbo Tournament. Of course, this is one of the Micro Machines games. Some of the absolute best multiplayer games of all time. And of course, it has the extra controller port, so you can play four players without the need of a multi-tap. Next one up is a pretty weird one actually. It's called Thunderball 2. Yeah, you don't need to look for Thunderbolt 1 because there isn't one. This is an unlicensed Sega Mega Drive game published by a company called Super Chip, I think. I don't know, I haven't found that much information on it actually. I usually Google games I don't know that much about. But yeah, it's a shoot 'em up. Pretty decent one too. So it's really hard to find out what if it's worth anything or if it's something special, because there's just not much information out there. But yeah, as I said, it's a pretty fun shoot 'em up. Next up, we have the awful Spiderman. I think it's also called Spiderman versus the Kingpin in some regions. This is just bad. It looks kind of cool, and it looks pretty good, but it's just almost unplayable. It's just so cheap with the enemy attacks and stuff like that. But yeah, next up we have a real classic for the Sega Mega Drive, Kid Chameleon. I know this was advertised a whole lot when I grew up, but I don't know anyone that actually owned it. But it's a pretty fun game. You play as Kid Chameleon, I guess, that can sort of change the different forms during the game, like a samurai, a knight, and some sort of rhino guy. And there's more than those, but I've never gotten past the second level because, yeah, I guess I suck at it. Anyway, next up we have a real awesome game that I have been itching to get. Stalker and the Treasures of King Gnome. This is sort of an action adventure game, but it's played in this weird view. So yeah, that's probably the only gripe I have with it is the view, because you sort of need to move diagonally all the time, and it takes some getting used to, but once you do that, it's a really solid game. I absolutely love it, and it's an absolute recommendation to get that, because it's absolutely amazing. Next up we have a game that was recommended to me from the comment section. Astro Warrior and Pitbot. Yeah, Astro Warrior is pretty decent shoot 'em up for the Sega Master System. Pitbot is more of a puzzle game. I haven't really gotten into Pitbot, but Astro Warrior seems like a really good game. I haven't played it that much because, well, I do tend to buy a lot of games. Next up we have Bomber Raid. This is another recommended game, and it's a really fun shoot 'em up too. I really enjoyed this. The only real gripe I have with it is that your shots are brown and the ground is also brown. So if you doesn't have your TV calibrated right, you can't see your shots, and that's sort of a pain. But otherwise, it's a really fun game, sort of inspired by the 1943, 4, 5 games. Next up, we have a game for the Sega 3D glasses. Blade Eagle 3D. This is another shoot 'em up. Also seems really fun, but unfortunately I haven't been able to try this with this 3D glasses yet. But it looks pretty fun. it sort of has two different layers of the shooting. So one lower layer and one higher layer. And it's, it takes some getting used to, but it seems to be pretty fun actually. Next up, we have something really, really bad. Xenon 2 Mega Blast for the Sega Master System. This is a real piece of shit. It looks absolutely stunning for an 8-bit game, but the game runs in slow motion almost. The game tries to be too much, and it runs absolutely horribly. So yeah, that's not recommended. But it's sort of a... I know Xenon was a really popular series back in the day, but I think that was more on the Amiga and stuff like that. So now we move on to the NES. There's a bunch of games for the NES actually, and we'll start off with the bad ones and then move on to the really good ones. First off, we have Bart versus the World, or The Simpsons Bart versus the World, I guess. This game absolutely sucks. It's a horrible game. You should never ever play it. Yeah, it's just bad. I don't know what more to say about it. It sucks. It even butchers the Simpsons theme horribly. Next up, we have another really crappy game based on a really crappy movie. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. This is an absolutely horrid game, and it just plays so bad. Even though it's based on a really, really bad movie. And next up, we have a game called Trog. This is a little bit more playable than the other two, but it's not amazing either. It's like if Pac-Man could strike back. I'd say. You play as a dinosaur being chased by cavemen. It's not atrocious, but it's not super great either. It's somewhere in between. Next up, we have a game I just don't understand. I mean, I understand what I'm supposed to do, but I just don't understand how to get the orbs. It's called Time Lord. I always get to the first stage, the medieval stage, and then I just can't get anywhere from there. There's this orb in the sky that I just can't pick up. I have absolutely no idea how to do it. Otherwise, it's a pretty decent beat 'em up style game. But since I can't get through the first stage, it's kind of pointless to try to play it. So if you know how to beat the first stage in Time Lord, please tell me in the comment section. Next up, we have another classic shoot 'em up, Xevious. This is pretty bare bones by today's standards, but it's still a nice little piece of history. It's not a bad game. It's not a real class. It's a classic game, but it's not one of those absolutely must-have classics. Next up, we have a game called Trojan. This is one of those games that commit the ultimate sin by having the jump button be up. Otherwise, it doesn't play too bad, and it doesn't play too great either, but yeah, somewhere in between. Next up, we have a game I think everyone should have, Blaster Master. This is a really fun little game. If you haven't played it before, you play as a kid that finds a tank. And yeah, you jump around in a tank. Then you can leave the tank. Go down ladders and stuff and go in through doors. And then the perspective changes. So you get a top-down perspective instead of a sort of platform game perspective. And of course it has the best soundtrack I've ever heard of the NES. I mean, even the drums sound like drums. So that's absolutely a must-have game for the NES. Next up is a game I have sort of a love-hate relationship with. Shadow Warriors, or Ninja Gaiden if you're from overseas. This is a really solid game and an absolute classic, but it's also insanely hard. It's like it's sort of like Castlevania on speed. I mean, the Castlevania games are pretty hard, but this is so much faster and you still bounce back when you take hits. So that just makes it even harder, I think. Anyway, it's still an absolute classic and a game that at least should be tried and played. Next up we have a game I played a lot as a kid. The Flintstones Rescue of Dino and Hoppy. It's not an absolute classic, but I played this game a shit ton when I was a kid. I absolutely loved it, and I still love it. It still plays really well, and is absolutely recommended if you have an NES or any device that can play NES actually. So that was all the games, and now we move on to the other stuff I talked about. First off, I found these real cheap trading cards for Mario Bros. The movie. And I thought I'd actually open one of these to see what we get. This must have been a huge loss for the company that made them. I mean, that movie is absolutely atrocious and should be considered almost a crime against humanity. Now let's see if we can open up one of these bad boys. Yeah, there we have it. See if we get any rare cards. Yeah, everyone loves opening these things, right? The first card we got was Bella Napoli. I don't know what that is, who that is. Hey, maybe I should read the text on the backside. Mario and his girlfriend Daniela, Luigi and his newfound fascination, Daisy, make for a lively foursome at the Bella Napoli restaurant over saucy Italian cuisine. They discuss the finer points of life, jobs, tans, and prehistoric rocks. Isn't that exciting? Next up, we have a card called A Not So Dead End. Still in pursuit of the kidnapped Daisy, the Mario brothers rush into the cave, then stop. Daisy's scream seems to be coming from inside a solid rock wall. Or maybe not so solid. The rock ripples, and to the guys' amazement, they are sucked through. Next up, we have Get Those Plumbers! Koopa is enraged when his nitwit assistants Spike and Iggy fail to secure Daisy's rock pendant. Apparently, the rock is a piece of an ancient meteorite with special powers. The plumbers took it, explains Spike. So now, Koopa is out to get Mario and Luigi. Yeah, isn't that exciting? Next up, we have Koopa plays lawyer. What's this? The ever-slimy lizard-like leader, Koopa, posing as a kind-hearted lawyer named Larry Lazard. What's more, he's out to convince Mario and Luigi that they're in good hands. But that's gonna take an award-winning performance. Yeah, the movie didn't win any awards, at least. Next up, we have a card called Bertha Bails Them Out. Talk about help from unexpected places. Love-struck Bertha comes to Mario and Luigi's rescue as they attempt to flee Lena's evil clutches. Handing them 2 pairs of Thwomp Stomper boots, Bertha gives the guys the means to take flight. Next up, we have a card called Family Pride. Perhaps it's no time for a fight, but brothers Mario and Luigi argue while teetering dangerously on the brink of a splattering death inside the ventilation shaft. Finally, brotherly love is restored when Luigi insists, "I do have family pride." Next up, we have Lena Disintegrates. Her moment of power has come at last, or so Lena thinks. She slips the rock from Daisy's pendant into its prehistoric place in the meteorite chamber. But unable to release the rock, she is overcome by energy waves and poof! Lena disintegrates. Last we have Hip Hip Hooray! The population of Koopa Square gives a mighty cheer as they watch their former leader dissolve into near nothingness. With Koopa a mere memory, they are finally free. Even the monstrous Goombas can't resist a little victory dance. That was that card pack. And last up, we have a sealed Game Genie. So yeah, I thought I'll open this up and see what's inside. I've never owned any any of these, so I don't think this will be fun. So let's see if we can get this open. I do want to use this further on anyway, so let's see what's in here. Let's see. Yeah. There we have it. So, and open this up. First off, we have a bunch of paper. Yeah, it's just warranty papers in 3 different languages. And not any one of them is in English or Swedish. Next up, we have the code book. Yeah! This will come in handy, I think. Unfortunately, it seems to be in German. Maybe? Yeah, I think it's 3 different languages. German, French, and Dutch, I think. But yeah, the codes are there, so that'll be kind of fun. And then we have the main event, of course, the Game Genie itself. Man, I didn't realize it was this flappy. Yeah, we'll try to put a game inside of this. And then someday I'll try it out. This is one of those things I really wanted as a kid, actually. But I never got it. So let's see. Yeah! Fits in snugly. But yeah, it's in some weird languages. But yeah. Looks really nice. Really shiny. Anyway, that was all I had for you today. So, yeah. I hope you liked it. And please consider to leave a like and subscribe if you like this. Or if you have any requests for games you want me to cover, or any consoles you want me to cover, just tell me in the comments. I try to do at least one video a week. I've been a bit sick, so for the past week, so I haven't actually uploaded anything, and I'm sorry for that, but that's shit happens, I guess. Anyway, I hope to see you again, and goodbye.